Now, what do we do in a situation like this? We abort the mission. Let's try that out now. Oh! What up, tubers? Bunny here, and this week we're back in Kerbal Space Program. So in this video, I'm basically going to get my Artemis spacecraft, which I built in last KSP episode. I'm going to get that spacecraft all set up so that it's ready to go for its manned mission to the moon. So without further ado, let's do some more stuff with this spacecraft. Okay, first things first, I want to test out an abort system. So I whipped together something quick. I put this launch escape tower here, which is really powerful and really short-lived. Basically, this rocket can pull this capsule, or should pull this capsule away, in the event that the rocket decides to go haywire. So I'm going to go ahead and test it. I believe it's the 0 key I press. So I'm going to test that out in 3, 2, 1. Hey! Worked like a charm! Okay, so now I also added some solar panels to the spacecraft, and I'm pretty sure they should work. I'm just gonna test that out. Okay, it looks like they're working. Let's see. Yep. We've got a sustainable source of electricity now. The sun. Now to lift this spacecraft high up in the sky. And now I just need to strap this beauty to a rocket. Okay, I'm going to be using the Kronos 1 rocket, which is a giant rocket that I built in an earlier KSP episode. Actually, not too many episodes ago. Might have been just before I started developing Artemis. But I noticed that the staging appears as if it won't actually work there. So I'm just gonna add some stuff. Okay, that should work. Let's see, let's check my staging before I do anything else. Yeah, I can actually lower the rocket's position. I don't need the clamps to be that high up. That should work. This vehicle, however, is going to need some struts to hold the spacecraft to the actual rocket, or else we might have ourselves a space disaster at hand. And that would not be good, especially seeing how this is supposed to be a manned spacecraft. Okay, that should do. And then just a set of struts there, just to make sure that the vehicle is secure. Now I'm going to build the fairing. And yuck, this fairing is still gross. I still forgotten to... Alright, how does that look? Absolutely disgusting. But it's gonna have to do. So let's see, I'm just gonna check the staging and then we're gonna put this vehicle through her runs. So, let's see. These 9 engines ignite. Then we have clamp separate. What is that decoupler? Is that one of the... Ooh, we don't want that just... Okay. These decouplers. Just move them here. I'm thinking after stage separation, that would be a safe time to separate the launch escape system. After stage separation and second engine ignition. See, after the second stage is spent, these decouplers separate, leaving the spacecraft free. And let's see, I'd actually think sometime while after the spacecraft attaches its launch escape system, it could deploy the fairing. Let's see. Okay, decouplers are good. We have these engines. We have all of these little engines. Then we have separation of the stages of the descent stage. Then we have spacecraft separation from the service module. And then finally the parachutes deploy at lower altitudes as the spacecraft returns to Kerbin. Let's see. Which engine is it talking about? It's talking about the booster. Let's see. Optimus will disregard this message. Or if it's in a launch escape system. Generated but not used, generated but storage lacking. Well, given what the spacecraft is meant to do, it shouldn't be too demanding. And can the Kerman brothers get off of my spacecraft? They're not going anywhere. Not while Artemis is still in the test phase. Well, it's kind of pointless for me to waste my breath saying this, but this rocket is a big one. I'm not sure if it'll actually be stable first try, but I know one thing that I am going to do for sure is that this test launch, I'm going to test out the launch escape system in mid-flight. So that will be, what mission is this? I guess Artemis 2 was technically the initial testing of the launch escape system. This is going to be Artemis 3. And I think Artemis 3 is ready, so without further ado, let's go to the launch pad. Okay, please be steady. She's steady on the launch pad. Putting the vehicle into startup. I think she is go for launch, so... Man, what a monstrosity! Let's see, I'm going to monitor a couple of engines. We're going to simulate a rocket failure. Assuming no actual rocket failure pops up while we're in the middle of this. Well, I think the vehicles go for launch, so I'm going to stop postponing and making myself even more fearful, and I'm going to test this rocket out. So we're going to go for launch in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, before ignition starts, the engines are on. We have commit. We have liftoff. We have liftoff of the Kronos 1 rocket, carrying Artemis 3 on a suborbital trajectory. And Artemis 3 is now pitching downrange. Ooh, I don't like the wobbles. Alright, let's worsen this situation. Okay. Now, what do we do in a situation like this? We abort the mission. Let's try that out now. Oh! Wow! And Artemis 3, the Kronos 1 rocket is still going. What is that debris? Is that part of the rocket? Wow. I think the Kronos 1 rocket is starting to descend very rapidly. I don't think it's long for the world. Should I be worried about how close these debris are getting? Let's see, I guess that rocket has now died. I guess it ran out of gas. Wow. Now this is what I call a space launch catastrophe. Hey, are any of these pieces going to rain down on the Space Center? Oh no. You hear that? That is the sound of dollars going down the drain. Oh, there's still rocket pieces way up high there? Are those Kerbals at risk of getting hit by these rocket debris? Well, if anything gets harmed by the crashing of these rocket pieces, it had better be the Space Center rather than these poor innocent Kerbal souls that are lying just outside the Space Center. Oh, there's a rocket piece falling very rapidly. Okay, it's gonna hit the shore. Or the ocean. And there goes the last debris. And the capsule is the only surviving spacecraft parts. That was a scary ride, but it was successful. Without a doubt, this vehicle needs struts. How far can I make these struts reach? That far, eh? Should do. Okay, I don't know if this amount of struts will solve the problem, but hopefully that should help with things. Okay, so I still expect the vehicle to wobble during launch, but hopefully it won't be anything catastrophic. So with those two innocent Kerbals standing uncomfortably close to the launch pad, and with my Artemis 4 spacecraft, right? Yeah, 4. Artemis 4, poised to launch. I say we go for launch in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go for ignition starts. The engines are on. We have commit. We have liftoff of the Kronos 1 rocket carrying Artemis 4 hopefully to the moon and back. And the vehicle will now begin pitching downrange. Now hopefully the rocket doesn't tear itself apart at high enough altitudes, like it did right after I aborted the flight, because that would be a very, very, very bad thing. But it seems to be going strong. Let's see, we're now supersonic. I'm gonna go into partial thrust mode as I enter maximum aerodynamic pressure, or max Q. But really there isn't max Q in Kerbal Space Program. At least I don't think there is. So who am I to give any regards to aerodynamic pressures? Well, the rocket seems to be performing exceptionally well. Well, I don't know about exceptionally well. I think it's performing as well as I would hope for it to perform. So I'm just going to keep this orientation. Oh wow. That hasn't happened in the previous. Okay. Well, now we are on to the second stage. And first stage goes bye-bye. Wave it bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Do I need the... Well, for aerodynamic purposes, I'll leave it for now. Could be a while before I get into orbit. I think we're losing aerodynamic pressures or heating or whatever you call it. See, I think I can ditch the launch escape system at this point. Okay, well that took a while to get the spacecraft into. I've got this staging decoupler stuck to the nose cone. I'm gonna have to shake it off. Okay, we have just reached space at T-minus 16.5 seconds. I'm gonna initiate the orbital burn. Go for orbital burn in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. Cut off. Okay, orbit appears nominal. Do we have any fuel left? Oh no. How are we? Oh no. Craft is badly damaged from that. We got a piece wobbling around in there. Might not be good. And we've got a fairing piece that is stuck to the spacecraft. I am going to decouple this rocket. Just going to try to baby this spacecraft to the moon. We'll just see what happens. Unfortunately, I cannot have such an incident occur once I get into orbit. I'm going to have to fix that up. What the? I warped and the fairing disappeared. Huh. I need to try something out. Well, the spacecraft is badly damaged. I'm going to have to call an abort. So I'm just going to go ahead and deorbit. Alright, let's take a look at this. Kind of Russian style with the booster separating like that. Let's go for separation. And we'll just leave that to go on its merry way. Let's inflate the heat shield. And I can test a new method of re-entering the atmosphere. And at this moment, we are no longer in outer space. It is time to go home. Let's see, I don't think I'm going to be landing, or I'm sorry, splashing down in the ocean. So it's going to be quite a nighttime when the spacecraft actually does land. Okay, so if you recall from my previous Artemis video, I tried re-entering the whole way down with the heat shield attached to the spacecraft, and I found that that was not actually a good idea because the spacecraft would start wobbling and whoop, it's time for atmospheric re-entry heating. I found if I left the heat shield on, just let the spacecraft go on its descent, the heat shield would want to start tumbling so that it was facing the opposite way. That's what happened, and I ended up detaching the heat shield after all. Fortunately, the spacecraft did not blow up when the heat shield was detached. We are under 2,000 meters per second now, altitude 37 kilometers. When do these deploy? I trust them to deploy at only 500 meters. 25 kilometers, we're under 1,000 meters a second now, and atmospheric heating has stopped. I think it's safe to turn SAS off. Now we just wait for the parachutes to be safe to deploy. Okay. And now the parachutes are primed to deploy whenever. Let's see, I'm gonna need to get ready to jettison the heat shield. Okay, parachutes have deployed. I'm thinking 10,000 meters should be a good altitude to deploy the heat shield, or jettison the heat shield. 15 kilometers. Let's see, I see some water over there. It is super hard to see squat over here. I can easily see the spacecraft, but that's just about all. See, wobbling's already starting. Just need to get down to 10 kilometers and then I'll deploy the heat shield. Do I keep saying deploy? It's jettison. Okay. And deploy. Come on, let go now. Whoa! Get away from me! Ooh-wee. Should I steady at the spacecraft? I think it should be good. So I guess we're going to be landing in some highlands. Actually, I want to... Well, let's see. I'm not going to try to steer clear of the heat shield. I might think about adding retrograde thrusters to the spacecraft. And I guess we are within half a kilometer of the surface. Let's see, that heat shield is still falling. Let's see, I'm going to add physical warp just to speed things along. We're going to be clear of the... Oh! Oh, a physical warp to that extent is probably a bad idea. So let's see. Octagonal strike. Okay, we didn't have any tragedies or anything. Holy, that heat shield is just falling. It's just tumbling. As it stays clear, I am fine. I was just about to say that it was weird that that didn't blow up. That completes an 18-minute flight. Okay, I added a couple pairs of retro rockets so the spacecraft can safely separate from the heat shield upon landing. Let's see, I am considering adding SRBs to this rocket. Okay, now I got that set. I'm going to go ahead for another launch. Okay, so I'm not going to do the whole space mission this video. I'm just going to see Artemis 5 into orbit because I'm running out of time in today's video. I was going to do a Minecraft video, but I'm thinking in next week's video I'm actually going to continue the Artemis 5 mission where it leaves off, assuming the spacecraft is fit to head on to the moon. Anyway, without further ado, let's launch this spacecraft in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go for ignition start. The engines are on. We have commit. We have liftoff of the... Oh no, stop it. Ignore max temperature. Oh, that could have been bad. that could have been a tragic end. I don't want to lose the fins. Actually, I don't think they're going to blow up, but hopefully this amount of thrust should suffice for sending this spacecraft into orbit and possibly sending it on its merry way to the moon. We're going to have to find out. Get ready to deploy the solid boosters. Don't blow anything up. Okay. Okay, it's good. Okay, we're still go. Okay, the spacecraft better have enough fuel now to take it higher. I am not sure. Already getting atmospheric heating. It's funny, atmospheric heating should only occur when the spacecraft is re-entering the atmosphere, but for me it happens whenever I'm going fast enough and... Oh. Okay, now to add a maneuver. Oh, what? This spacecraft really needs to take what? Okay, let's think for a moment. That would mean I would actually have to start the orbital burn now. Ooh boy, this is quite interesting. I assume I'm gonna have enough fuel to make it into orbit. Oh, we're now in space. I'm just gonna hold on to the fairing for a moment. I'm gonna try something out. See, I can probably turn RCS off. Wow. I don't think this stage is good enough to even get the Artemis 1 into orbit. Okay, if I warp... Let's see. Well, here goes the rocket. Okay. Let's see. Decouple. Decouple. There we go, a nice circular orbit. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to actually land on the moon with this spacecraft. But that's something we're going to find out in next week's episode. This is going to conclude this week's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you all next week. India Alpha Bravo checking out.
T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have commit. We have...